Hey guys, this is Adam. I'm recording from Omaha, Nebraska at Legendary Wolf Games. We're going to do a deck tech here. With me, I've got some local players. I've got Chris and Ramon. And we're going to walk through a mono win list. This is part of the RVA Returners Meta Deck series leading into Pettit Cups. So here we go. Okay, so looking at standard Opus VII Meta win list, you're kind of running between like 23 and 25 forwards. In some sense, it's forward heavy, but a lot of your forwards are extremely valuable. So like after you've established your backups, you kind of want to just be playing, you know, good forwards. A lot of them have a lot of value attached to them, so you can be able to play a lot of them when you draw them. Let's just run through real quick. So starting at the bottom of the curve here is Adele. I mean, the power level of Adele doesn't necessarily have to be explained a lot. She's a card that sometimes
mostly
just
unblockable.
Yeah, I mean, she's pretty much a 4 CP forward that's going to get in for point damage unless your opponent immediately has a response. She has the potential of running away with the game because sometimes there's nothing you can do about her unless you're able to shut that ability off. She's not that, durable of a forward with 5,000 power, but that's kind of where the balance comes in. A lot of lists are running this, sometimes as a 2 of. My list runs as a 1 of, but I think you're going to see this in the mono win list.
She's also amazing when your opponent's at 6 life and you just drop her and like, do you have an answer? And you just like offer a handshake.
I mean, you're just basically saying I win if they can't answer that if, then you win. Arc is a card. You're going to see Arc in a lot of these lists. A lot of the Warrior Lights that give an anthem to their element are usually good and mono lists. That's not anything innovative there. What I really like about Arc is that he kind of has an Adele ability tacked on at the end, in a sense. You're usually going to have 3 active win forwards or backups to activate Arc's ability, and that's another card can just really push in that win condition.
I think he's mostly in there just for the buff all around, and then for just being a tech junkie, he's mostly the unblockable is just a random effect that is also happens to be strong with it.
Yeah, he's definitely a good card. 1 or 2 of is kind of what I see. I think if you're running a list with 3, you can probably get away with that. He's not ever really going to be that bad. The next card on my list here is Chelinka, and Chelinka is definitely what pushes mono win into viability, partnering up with Yuri. But let's kind of break down this card real quick. I like any card that has like a font size 8 or lower that just keeps going when you read it because it's usually good.
Just like a paragraph, like an essay style card.
So when she comes down, right away she wants you to know category FFCC characters deal 1,000 damage more. If they deal damage, it increases by 1,000 instead. Then when she enters the field, deal 1,000 damage to all 4 opponent controls.
Or
that's functionally 2,000. And when she forms a party with card name Yuri and attacks, choose a forward or monster, break it. So there's a lot to unpack here. What I really think is really cool about Chelinka is that if you're able to reduce something down to 1,000 power, but oh no, they have an anthem, like Chelinka doesn't care. She's going to deal 2. So like that forward that's 2,000 power is going to die to Chelinka. The real power level of this card is partying with Yuri and attacking and just choosing a forward monster and breaking it. Like, I played Mono Win since Opus 2. Mono Win has always needed an answer to the Opus 2 Emperor, and it never really had a great one. It had Chaos Walker. That was literally it. Hope they don't have another Emperor or something better in their hand. Hope I draw Chaos Walker, because Wind has so many activated abilities. Now, Mono Wind has Yuri and Chelinka. It's going to break the Emperor. It's going to break a lot of things. So, I mean, that's just the real power level of the deck. If you can resolve a Chelinka and you can get an activation phase and go to combat, you're probably going to win the game. Or your opponent's just going to feel really bad. They're going to fall really far behind.
It puts a lot of pressure on your opponent when she's out with Yuri, too.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's like, that's another thing you just immediately have to deal with. Next on the list here is the legendary Ishtola from Opus 5. This is a card that doesn't need if you're familiar with any meta decks, it's a card that
any Wind deck.
Yeah, you're protecting from Shantoto. You're protecting from a lot of things that mess up a Yuri Chelinka package. Ishtola, to me, not necessarily an automatic include in a list, but if you're trying to combo, Ishtola is just it's insurance that your combo stays intact. I think 2 of make a lot of sense. You could argue maybe that the Opus 1 Ishtola could be fun in a list like this. With so much ping damage, if you wanted to add a forward that does more ping damage, I'm not going to blame you. I think your risk appetite is a little bit higher if you're doing that.
I think if they're playing the ping damage, just a simple mid loop will just shut the deck down.
Yeah, Ishtola is the other side where I'm just going to shut down all your things instead of you kind of dealing with mine. So I like that legendary Ishtola on this list. We're going to go to these next 2 forwards. I'm looking at Opus 3 Zidane, which I call the Hand Thief Zidane. And I'm also looking at Opus VI Zidane, the legendary. Opus VI Zidane had a really great moment in the meta last set because the card can kind of take the game away. Sometimes you play this card just because of the implications. If you get an early legendary Zidane down, your opponent's saying, well, I don't have a response to it, it can't be chosen by abilities, I don't have a straight break effect, so I'm going to pitch all my forwards and just do something different. Like, a card that just changes your opponent's mentality is good. I like having one in the list, but the Opus III Zidane just immediately has good value. You get full information on what your opponent's holding on to, and there's a possibility that he's a big, fat forward at the end of the day. I'm running 2 and 1. I think that's the right, after testing with it, I think that's the right balance there.
Me personally, I like the 4-drop Zidane, just because it's very difficult to deal with in itself, with its can't be chosen.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then if it combos well with a couple of the backups that keep dulling. So if you force them to discard a hand, you can activate and keep activating active abilities, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's he definitely belongs in this list 100%. He's also, he's good. Like, he's your choice if you're playing a lightning character or a forward. A lightning opponent. If you're playing someone with Dilemma, you're going to play Zidane and you're going to feel pretty good about it. If you've got an Arc or Maria resolved, that's even better because then he's like, the 7,000 CP or power is fine, but
both of them, it's a 9K that
then now he
gets rid of a card in hands that they could potentially use super abilities with, or more, and it can just random one of can just wreck your day.
Yeah, absolutely. He makes all your plays better because you get to look at their hand every time you attack with him. So I'm liking. I think both these Zidanes kind of fit one way or another. It's a personal choice call which one you favored more. I would like to see both in any win list I'm looking at. The next forward is Barbarecia from Opus III, and the reason I like her is that you've got a lot of ping effect in this deck. It's just usually a 2-for-1. You get a forward and they lose a forward, so she's going to come down, choose a forward, reduce it to power 1,000. And if they, like we were saying with Chelinka, maybe they have some Anthem effects or something. If you're following this up with a Chelinka, you're getting around with that.
Or you just play Chelinka, then play this.
Yeah, exactly.
So either way, it's just as soon as it's played, they get rid of it.
I like Barbarecia a lot. I run 2. I think it's okay to run 1 of because you probably get to do it once a game. I like 2 because I like it. I just think it's usually pretty good. You're left over with a free body, and that's kind of parlay into this next card here, Vada. This is a card when it was spoiled. I remember in our review of the set we said, when Vada enters the field, the cost to play Vada is paid. Only with Wind CP, activate all the Wind backups you control. The question was, does Wind need more free forwards? And the answer was, yeah, it can definitely deal with more free forwards. Vada's pretty good. I think any mono Wind deck needs to have 2. I like 3. I usually cut down to 2 to kind of make my deck work a little bit better to get some other things in. But this card's really, really strong. You're usually not paying any CP for it.
It's just a free 8K body on the board that if you have Arc or Mario, it's a 10K.
Yeah,
that's
just crazy.
Free.
It costs you nothing. Yeah. And you could even get creative if you have backups with dull effects. There's a way to recur that one.
Yuri.
Yeah, next up is Yuri.
Like self-announced, everyone plays him, in my opinion. I've traveled a lot, and about every time I'm sitting there, I go up against 3 decks in a row or something like that, where it just runs Yuri. Each time they slap it down, I'm like, oh god, another one.
Yeah, and so I've seen some of this run too. I like 3 because once you resolve Yuri, the thing that's great about Yuri and becoming more and more predominant in this game is you want your forwards to do something immediately when they come into play. And if you leave 2 backups up with Yuri and they share an element, he does something immediately when he comes down. So you're going to get value out of him. He's powerful in any deck that's a mono element. He's playable in decks that are 2 elements, but in mono
Wind, a little bit
more
difficult.
Yeah, it's a little more narrow. In mono Wind though with Chelinka, and that package is just disgusting.
My opinion, my favorite thing to do with Yuri is actually defense. You sit there, you block with someone that they can't kill him, and then you just dull him and 2 backups to dull and freeze another attacker.
That's what I think usually wins the games for me in mono Wind, is playing Yuri to just completely stall their board out. Turns out if you add ice abilities to mono Wind, it's really good, and it doesn't feel like it should be there, but it's really, really powerful. The only card he has trouble with is Camelot. That's a card that this entire list is going to have a little bit of trouble with if you can't immediately answer it. But you know what? I think it doesn't make Yuri too broken. There are other cards that answer him too. I mean, he's not outside of curve on a power level, but definitely the backbone of this deck. And if you're playing this deck, you're prioritizing backups and you're prioritizing Yuri when you find him in your hand. The only thing bad about Yuri is when you have like 2 or 3 in your hand at one time. And that's just a little annoying.
And when they return them to hand, that is annoying. They're just dead cards in hand.
Next up here, Opus VII Bartz, kind of the mascot of Wind, I'd say. I mean, he's a guy that's made it work. If you've ever played Mono Wind before this set, you were playing 3 of this guy. I think you're playing 3 of him now. He's back to the logic of Vada. I mean, he's free. If you have 5 backups, you can play him at no resource cost, and he's a 9K.
Not only that, you can leave your backups open and go all in attacks, just play him and straight up ready for defense.
He allows you to be aggressive. He allows you to be defensive. He allows you to be efficient. He's a very, very good card. There's not much else that needs to be said. The fact that he's EX Burst kind of puts him over the top for me. If he wasn't an EX Burst, he would still see play. But the fact that he is, he's just really, really good. Rounding out the forwards here is another card with a similar effect, not quite there, is the new starter Cecil. Also an EX Burst, also 5 CP. When he enters, you get to choose up to 2 characters, activate them. So that kind of you can approach Cecil as a 3 CP forward, and that's not ignorant. I mean, you could activate 2 backups and get some of that CP back to play with him. The thing that puts him over, he's 8,000 power. If you receive 5 points of damage or more, Cecil gains plus 2,000 power, and he cannot be chosen by opponent's abilities. So we've got a theme.
12K that can be targeted.
I mean, he's just like he's really nasty at the top of your curve. He's really nasty late. He's forgivable if you play him early because you get your CP back from the activation. So
fair enough.
I mean, he's just a really good card, a good addition. Opus 7 gave a lot of really good forwards to this deck. All right, now we're going to look at the summon package in the Mono Wind list here. Starting with the real staples of the deck, you're going to see 3 Chaos Walker the Wheel from Opus 3. So this is an EX Burst. You choose a forward opponent controls, and you break it. If that forward is put in the break zone, they may play 1 forward from their hand on the field, but what you want to do with this card is you want to play it after a well-timed Zidane. You want to play it after Zidane's either attacked and shown you their hand, or you've played the Opus 3 Zidane and you've looked at their hand and you've taken the forward you don't want to see out of their hand, or they don't have a hand, or they have no forwards. Then your Chaos Walker the Wheel is just choose a forward opponent controls, break it. It's a really good piece of removal. EX Burst makes it sometimes skill intensive on whether or not you want to trigger that EX Burst, but a lot of times it's the worst removal sometimes in the deck, and that's still pretty good removal.
Both the worst and the best removal.
Yeah, it's definitely swings depending on what time and what information you have.
There it
Absolutely.
is.
Hitting in the X Burst, like you said, could be pretty beneficial if you've already seen their hand. You already know that something's not going to come down. However, without that prior knowledge, you kind of take a gamble on it.
So here's a good question. Let's say your opponent has a problematic forward on board, and they have 2 cards in hand, and it's early in the game, and they hit an EX. Your first EX versus Chaos Walker. They have 2 targets. That might be a forward in their hand that's better than the one you don't want. Do you activate the EX Burst? Do you get rid of that?
That is a trick question.
I think
you might as well get it.
It depends on what the forward is on the field.
Let's say it's a Lua, something annoying that's hard to deal with.
I would get a Lua off.
Personally, yeah, I would just to straight up get rid of her.
Yeah.
I think hard enough to target in this deck as it is.
It really sucks when you trigger it to kill a Lua and they slap another one down and you just go, well.
I mean, then you got rid of the special, and that's kind of okay.
Yeah, so
but,
it's one less Lua you have to worry about.
I think I think like on an early Layla Viking, if they're attacking in with me in one of those cards and they hit Chaos Walker, I'm probably not activating it. No matter, I mean, unless they have no cards in hand. But something of a Lua or above, or a Data Lua or something. Anything like Estinian, I'm definitely getting rid of right away. So, but that's what you get with rest of the deck. The next real staple here, the next big summon that you're going to see 3 of in every win list is Diabolos. We had a good discussion in one of our recent Q&As of what the best summon in the game right now. Unanimous responses were Diabolos. There was some discussion amidst some other choices in the comments, but Diabolos is undeniably a extremely powerful card.
It's also a very toolboxy card.
Yeah, and all the modes are good.
Yeah,
I mean, it is.
Blessing off this guy.
it's skill intensive. You can misplay a Diabolos, but if you know what you're doing, anytime you see it, you're probably not pitching it for CP. You're going to hold it until you need it, or you're just going to play it right away because you can play it for free.
Only once have I pitched it for CP, and I regret it to this day.
Yeah.
I feel you on that.
I mean, think about how many forwards are 5 CP or more that are just like extremely powerful
Kill
in the meta.
Obsidian, kill Camelot.
Cloud of Darkness, you just done.
And then
just
activate backups is just a free kill and
Yeah.
get rid of a card.
Choosing a forward and 4 less and making it 1,000. We talked before. It's a good thing in this deck because you can get rid of it. So sometimes you can get rid of 2 forwards and with a good Diabolos play. Often Diabolos is a 2-for-1. I mean, unless you've just dropped the ball or you don't, or you're just winning with it in one mode only. But that's what's so good about it. You're usually going to 2-for-1 with it, and so I mean, it's kind of a must-3 in this deck. So let's look at another card here. Now we're kind of into a flex spot of your summons. Azura, the Opus 5 Azura, pretty good card. Negates all damage dealt to a forward you control, which doesn't mean negate for the rest of the turn. It means any damage it's currently marked for is gone. And then you get to draw a card. You also get to activate it. I think the reason this card gets played is because it's EX Burst, you get to draw a card, you get to activate a forward. This is very good in the mirror.
Anti-ice.
Yes, anti-Yuri. I mean, anything that like it's good on defense because you got your Marks is dull or something. They get to activate it, and it's a free card. It's extremely efficient, which is what this deck wants to do. So I think it's a good inclusion. The negate all damage part is really narrow, but it's fine. It's just an extra thing the card does that you don't need. Another card that I like to see in a win deck is 2 CP Alexander from Opus 4. You get to do one of the 2 following actions: choose a monster, break it. That's the most efficient monster removal in the game because you can break an Ozma or something, Royal Rightness. I don't know if people are playing those a lot, but you can break them just for 2 CP.
Yeah.
Or you get to choose a backup you control, activate it, draw a card. So if you hit it off an EX Burst, this card is actually netting you CP if that's the action you choose. So, I mean, I kind of like it because it's flexible and it's a free card. It gives you monster answers. So if your meta is really monster heavy, this might be a card to consider. I'm going to include Sylph in a flex spot here. I've seen some good plays in my local meta with Sylph from Opus 1. You get to choose a forward, activate it, and all the forwards you control gain 1,000 power zone a turn. So you're getting some benefit from the same sort of benefit you saw from Azura. You're also going to get a little bit of a power boost. Personally, I'd probably prioritize Azura over this card, but it's not the worst choice you could make. And they're kind of, I think you're going to run with 9 summons. 3 of them are going to be Chaos, 3 of them are going to be Diabolos. So you've got kind of 3 spots here you can flex in based off of your personal play style. There are other options you can run too. I like to run Chocoball because I like to go get a tutor if I'm running the Moogle backups.
Yep.
There's things you can do with these spots here. All right, so looking at the backups here, in a mono win list, you're probably around 17 or 18 backups. The list I'm going to look through has 17. We're going to start off with Al Hanalem, which I call Al, just because I don't like to say that all the time. We call him Alibaba sometimes.
Yep.
This card's pretty good. I run 2. I think you can justify running 3, and it's good because it's comboing with the Yuri Chelinka package. You can choose a forward, deal at 2,000 only if you control either Chelinka or Yuri. And if you control both, you get to deal 2,000 to all forwards opponent controls, which can be really, really effective depending on certain matchups. I operate under the assumption that if it's a 2 CP backup, it's always playable. So the downside of this card is it's a 2 CP backup, you get to play it on turn 1.
A couple of cards that activate its abilities, but
I
after
mean,
that, it's just a CP.
It's good turn 1 play. I mean, it's going to generate resources for you at the very least. Next in the list here is Archer, good staple of Wind. Pretty important if you're seeing mono water and you want to get rid of Minwu, get rid of anthems that are not in your favor. This card should always be a 1 or a 2 of. I think because the backup line is getting tight, I wouldn't run more than 2. But another benefit of this card, like a couple others we're going to see, is that you can break it. The more sets that come out, the more backups that are just good. 5 backups gets really tight sometimes, and having a backup that can break itself is usually an upside. I remember when I first started playing, it just felt weird to play a backup dull. You couldn't do anything with it, and then now you can tell me I have to break it to like do stuff. It just felt so bad. But now it's like great. It's a backup that can give me space if I want to play more in the future.
My opinion is I've always played 3, especially in the win deck because you're playing Diabolos to reactivate it. And my favorite thing to do is just on my end of my opponent's turn, I just start killing their board and then activating archers to kill their backups. So that way it's takes away all their resources.
I think 3 is fine, especially in this deck because one of the win conditions is to be more efficient than your opponent. And if you're getting so far ahead that you just have extra CP to just break their backups, you're probably not. They're probably not going to get back in the game because you're playing free forwards and now you're taking away their resources.
It also hits all the backups that just buff all their opponents' dudes.
Yeah, it hits the really obnoxious backups, and the one that don't, we have something in this list to take care of. Next on the list here, Moogle 11. I think this card is just plain good. It's good to go get whatever you need anytime you need it. Because it's 2 CP, it's very easy to justify. I run 3 of it. I mean, if you don't like this card, take 3 out. Don't run 1 or 2. That's silly. Like, run a full 3 or don't run it at all. You don't have to. I'm going to put it in this list because I just think it's really good to go get Diabolos immediately when I need it, or go get Yuri or Chalinka when I haven't found the other one.
Or if they're playing Mono Earth, you grab Pistola to protect yourself.
Exactly.
Or grab the Vada for free.
Very versatile backup, and arguably one of Mono Win. I feel like it should be one of Mono Wins or any Win variant staple at this point.
I think so
too. I think
too.
one of my favorite plays that I've done in a Mono Win deck with this guy. I've only had 4 backups on the field, but when I play a Bartz and on the stack use Moogle 11's effect. Because now I've not only netted a card from my deck, I've now also reactivated all my backups. So now, say if I had 2 in hand prior to doing that, I can go search again. Or I now have that card. I now have all my backups available for combat tricks, or for Yuri, like artillery or something, just to fire off his abilities. Really
no, definitely. I mean, there's no. There's no bad reason. You're never unhappy to see this card unless it's in your damage zone.
Yep.
Next on the list here is White Mage, another 2 CP backup. And we know this card pretty well at this point. White Mage is a card that, one, it's back on the upside of breaking itself, and you don't even have to dull it to use its effect, so you just have to pay 1 of anything, and you choose something in a break zone, remove it from game. That really messes up a Lightning player, really messes up turning Layla into a 4 CP, 4,000 power, 4, whatever, just bad. White Mage is really good.
Get rid of those Vikings before they can grab him back.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts Earth too when they want to try and recur with Miners, Minfilia.
Oh my gosh,
yes. Yeah. White Mage is. I think White Mage is kind of a slept-on backup.
Well, it shouldn't be. Its power level is really, really high.
Yes.
Put it in aerodynamic sleeves if you can, to maximize your pitching ability with it. But I'd like to run 2. I think 1's good if you just at least having 1. 3 is a meta call if you've got a lot of backup recursion. I don't think 3's bad, but I think 2 is kind of the sweet spot there. Next on my list here is Legendary Aerith from Opus 3. I'm putting this in here because every deck I've seen at a competitive level has like Fusoya or Snow or New Lulu. It has something that a backup is doing something bad to my forwards. Aerith says the forwards you control cannot be chosen by your opponent's backup abilities. So she's in some ways a little bit of an upgrade over the Ice Jill in the bot that says forwards can't damage, because she's shutting off damage and she's shutting off Snow because it just straight up can't select. I think 1 of is fine. In my decks right now I'm running 2, and 2 has felt very comfortable because if your opponent does like a turn 2 Fusoya and you do a turn 2 Aerith, that's bad. Yeah, they're going to have to either deal with that Aerith or just you've bricked their Fusoya. And, I kind of like it for that reason. If Fusoya or all this stuff falls out of favor, I might try and fit in Planetary Protector here. The Opus
in
one
a lot
here.
of lists, especially at Worlds, use that one.
That card is really good. It seems like it kind of gets squeezed out from all these new backups, but it always come back around to Opus 1 Aerith. It's free to play, and just leaving it open and passing turn to your opponent. The implications are really high there.
Yep.
Next here, a new one from Opus 7, Illyria, EX Burst. You get to search for Chalinka or Yuri and add it to your hand. I think 2's fine. I was running 3. I wouldn't be mad if someone ran 3 because you're looking for Yuri Chalinka pretty often. And the EX Burst just makes it easy to run 3 of things. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I'm doing 2 to give me some room to fill out some more backups that I want in there. Another interesting thing about Illyria, not in this list that we're profiling right now, but she is a mother, which does really good things with Hope.
Yeah.
And you could just run Bartholomew and get that new Hope online and have another 9K that can't be chosen by abilities, which is good. And we were playing fun games before.
Think about that for draft now.
Honestly, it's there. It fits in well. I've tested with it. I think it's pretty good. I've seen it on some lists coming out of Japan that looked pretty promising. So keep an eye on that. But either way, just for what Illyria does on her own with Yuri and Chalinka is good enough to run in 2, maybe 3 of these. Next on the list here are Echo. Echo EX, so in this list that I'm profiling, it has 3 of these because I've seen a lot of lists run 3, come back around to the EX logic. It's okay to have kind of there if you flip it. I think 1 is fine. I think you want this card in your deck in some capacity.
Yes.
I like to run the one of, because if I don't need it, I don't need it. If I hit it off EX Burst, it's pretty great. If I play it as my third or fourth backup, I get to draw a card and activate something.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not win condition for this deck, so I think it could actually be dropped to a one of like that.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
I think I think it has a place in here, but it has
not as a 3-of.
Nah, yeah, the 3 of is all in on the EX Burst package. And then rounding out the backup list is old staple familiar face Maria from Opus 1, forward to control, gain 1,000 power. That's worth 4 CP.
Yes.
It's just it's no around it. Sometimes I see lists run 3. I like 2. I think 3 is
Two's the sweet spot.
yeah, 3 is like Opus 2 or Opus 3 meta when there weren't so many options of backups.
Sure,
You
yeah.
run 3 because you want to see it. With 2, you're gonna see it eventually usually when it matters. You see it turn 1 or turn 2, slam it down. I've done it before. It's not that bad. So
This deck also has a lot of ways to trade up as well. I mean, you got Yuri that are already dealing 1,000 more their power, so they're already able to trade up with 8Ks, 9Ks if need be.
definitely.
And then Maria just makes them even more dangerous. And then also, everything else is getting, like an 8K Zidane, I think is still pretty disgusting.
Yeah, an 8K
Coming in
Zidane.
at your face and revealing your hand.
I mean, Zidane at 7K is like fair.
Yeah.
Zidane at 8K is not fair. So yeah.
Zidane 9K is definitely.
Yeah, Zidane at 9K, you're probably winning the game, or you should be at least.
I think I remember seeing the deck at the recent Wales Cup in the final round. He had an Arc and a Maria down, and he had a Zidane out. Zidane was huge.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's not a lot you can do with that. You just hope for an Odin. I mean,
Yep.
if you've got it.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. That was Mono Wind as I see it, as we see it. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think, what you're playing. And this is Adam, Chris, Ramon, and we're at Legendary Wolf Games signing off. We're going to go play some Title.
Let's get it.